As we get closer to Endgame, let's take a look at some scrapped Marvel movies, and today we're taking a look at The Incredible Hulk 2.
Oh, here we go, yo. Hey.
Now, before we can talk about The Incredible Hulk 2, we need to understand the Hulk. What is the Hulk's history? Well, in 2003, Universal Studios released Hulk, and for those who have seen this movie will remember it, this puffy light green poodle punching monster had a very low box office return, kind of mixed reviews, and soon after it was announced it would be rebooted. And this brings us to The Incredible Hulk, which was released 5 years later in 2008. Now, the cool thing about this movie was it was released just a few months after Iron Man and kickstarted the MCU, and for the very first time we had the cross-pollination of iconic intellectual property characters. So with that said, a sequel for The Incredible Hulk was actually in pre-production before it even came out. But years went by and we didn't hear a thing. That is until Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, said that the Hulk would return in a standalone film after the Avengers in 2012. Now, what was the problem? Well, first off, the star Ed Norton, who played Bruce Banner in The Incredible Hulk, was apparently very hard to work with. He constantly wanted the scripts to be rewritten right on set, and he expressed that he never wanted to be part of a multi-film franchise, which I don't understand why he would want to be in the Hulk in the first place. Anyway, he was geared up to appear on stage with all the other actors from the Avengers at a panel at a convention, and he just drops out weeks prior. And this opened the door for Mark Ruffalo to step in. But here's the thing, people were just not that crazy about the Hulk. Yes, the Hulk is iconic, but the films were not connecting with audiences. The 2003 Hulk only made $245 million worldwide, where Ed Norton's made $263 million, and that's not that big of a jump. That is until... With the combined humor and likability of Mark Ruffalo and the outstanding and groundbreaking designs and effects for the Hulk in the Avengers, everybody was asking about when the next Hulk would be. He was the star of the film, he was the standout character, and the ironic thing was everybody was worried about Mark Ruffalo. So Marvel continues to tease a Hulk sequel, stating it would come out after the second Avengers now, sometime during Phase 3. But the story kept changing, until Mark Ruffalo flat out said, hey, it's just not happening, and it's basically scrapped for now. So what's the issue? The issue is Universal Studios. So let's go back to the 90s. Marvel almost filed for bankruptcy. So to get itself out of the hole, it sold most of its film rights of many of its IPs, that being Spider-Man going to Sony, the X-Men going to Fox, and Hulk going to Universal. Much like the creation of Andrew Garfield's The Amazing Spider-Man, if a studio sits on the rights for far too long, the film rights revert right back to Marvel. So if Universal wasn't going to make a Hulk movie, all those rights go right back home. And as you all know, Marvel started its own company, which now is owned by Disney, and they can easily produce any film they want. And that is the case of 2008's The Incredible Hulk. While Universal no longer has the film rights, they are still in possession of the distribution rights, and that is still to this day, which means big money in Universal's pockets every time there's a Hulk movie. And as you guys can imagine, I'm sure Mickey Mouse isn't too happy about that. But Marvel figured out a loophole by still using the Hulk, just not in his own movies, just like the Avengers. Or how the Planet Hulk storyline was the base for Thor Ragnarok. By putting Hulk in these other movies, Universal doesn't get a dime. And Disney and Marvel get to tell all the Hulk stories they want, just under different franchises, and they get away scot-free. So that is pretty much why The Incredible Hulk 2 was scrapped. But with the huge success of this character, I can guarantee we're going to see his story continued in future films, but there might be another loophole that Disney can take advantage of, and that is Disney+. Now, because it's a streaming site which is entirely owned by them, there's no distribution needed, and we are seeing Marvel stories continue in this format, so it would make sense to see a Hulk story or a Bruce Banner story on Disney+, which would be kind of cool because the Hulk's live-action storytelling began on television in an episodic format. But until that's officially announced, you can totally expect him to be in other Marvel films like he is now, and like he will be in Avengers Endgame. And with that, thank you guys for watching so much. What do you think about The Incredible Hulk? Which version of the Hulk is your favorite? Eric Bana, Ed Norton, or Mark Ruffalo? I have a soft spot for Mark Ruffalo. He's so good. He's so good. But you know what? I like The Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton. That was a really good movie. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and you've just been crisscrossed. Peace out.